After the initial alien invasion in 1996, Earth has now achieved a state of tranquility, and countries have joined hands to create the Earth Space Defense, ESD, utilizing extraterrestrial technology from salvaged wreckage to develop a warning mechanism against potential alien attacks. The ESD's main office is located in Area 51, with additional installations on the Moon, Mars, and Rhea, one of Saturn's moons. Nonetheless, unbeknownst to humans, there are still extraterrestrial beings keeping a watchful eye on Earth, and the ex-president Whitmore is experiencing recurring nightmares about it. In his recurring dreams, the former president, Whitmore, sees an enigmatic circular shape with an unceasing line that he cannot resist drawing. Meanwhile, on the moon base, two individuals named Jake and Charlie are in the process of transporting new components of the defense system to create a colossal weapon. However, something unexpected happens, and the machines responsible for moving the weapon malfunction, causing it to fall. Despite Commander Zhang's orders to retreat, Jake takes matters into his own hands and utilizes his spacecraft to lift the weapon. Jake activates the fusion drive, which poses a potential risk of destroying the vessel, but he acts quickly and manages to restore the weapon to its original position before any harm occurs. Upon returning to the base, Commander Jiang reprimands Jake for his actions and grounds him until further notice, as he holds him accountable for the incident. Meanwhile, General Adams receives an urgent summons to the base, where they have kept the alien captives from the invasion 2 decades ago in a dormant state. However, something unusual occurs, and the aliens have suddenly become active and agitated inside their cages. Adams attempts to contact the ESD director to discuss the matter, but he is unreachable at the moment. It later transpires that the director, David, is currently in Africa alongside Floyd, a government-appointed supervisor. Together, they visit the headquarters of Warlord Umbutu and his rebel forces, which are located near a collection of extraterrestrial bones. Initially, Warlord Umbutu and his rebel forces are hostile towards David when he arrives in Africa with Floyd. However, Catherine intervenes and informs the warriors that David is with her, diffusing the tension. Catherine has been stationed in the region for an extended period, researching Umbutu's unique psychic link with the aliens. She escorts David to the sole spaceship that arrived on Earth 2 decades earlier. The locals waged a 10-year war against the extraterrestrial beings that emerged from this vessel, and Umbutu informs them that the ship's lights unexpectedly switched on 2 days prior. During their investigation, the group uncovers a colossal cavity in the ground that suggests the aliens attempted to drill into the planet's core but stopped after the mothership's destruction during the previous war. As they explore the alien spaceship, they discover that the computer is transmitting a distress signal, which David recognizes as having already been answered. Meanwhile, on the moon base, Jake has a video chat with his girlfriend, Patricia, who happens to be the daughter of the former president, Whitmore. Patricia informs Jake that the International Legacy Squadron, which includes their mutual acquaintance Dylan, with whom Jake had a disagreement years earlier, will soon be visiting the moon base. Jake had previously put Dylan's life in danger during a flying test, causing Patricia to urge Jake to take responsibility for his actions and apologize to Dylan. However, when the International Legacy Squadron, which includes Dylan, arrives at the moon base, Jake behaves aggressively towards him during their lunch meeting, taunting Dylan by suggesting that he was in Jake's way. Dylan retaliates by punching Jake, and Commander Jiang intervenes. Jake covers for Dylan's actions by claiming that he merely fell, but later, he admits to Charlie that he went too far in his behavior towards Dylan. The following day, Dr. Isaacs pays a visit to his husband Oken, who is the research director and had slipped into a coma during the initial war, in the medical bay located in Area 51. Isaacs is stunned to see that Oken has woken up suddenly but is unaware that 2 decades have elapsed, until he notices the considerable changes in Isaacs. Meanwhile, Adams is informed that the Rhea base has been completely destroyed, putting them on high alert. In Africa, David receives information about the emergency situation, but Catherine is preoccupied with examining the circular drawings present everywhere. Umbutu brings them to his office and displays all the drawings he has created, inspired by the visions he experienced after the spacecraft reactivated. The circular shape appears to be some sort of device, and Umbutu has been able to interpret some of the extraterrestrial language as well. On the moon, a state of panic ensues as a vortex forms in the atmosphere. This is later revealed to be a wormhole, through which a spherical machine, resembling Umbutu's vision, emerges. A message is dispatched to President Lanford and David, who discerns that the sphere is, in fact, a spaceship. Lanford proposes launching a preemptive strike, but David highlights that this vessel differs from the previous invasion's craft. It may belong to another extraterrestrial species with distinct motives. Lanford permits the ESD Council to decide, and ultimately, the choice to attack first prevails. Jiang activates the base's massive weapon and effortlessly shoots down the sphere. David advocates for retrieving the spaceship to analyze it, and Lanford consents to dispatch a team of scientists. However, David must depart for Washington, D.C., due to political obligations, which infuriates him. Lanford declares publicly that they have repelled another assault on Earth. Watching the news, Whitmore becomes anxious since he can discern that the new aliens are distinct from the previous ones, prompting him to believe that he should alert everyone. Patricia advises him to remain calm and have faith in the new president. Whitmore agrees to retire for the night, but when Patricia checks on him later, she discovers that he has vanished. Jake comprehends David's exasperation and decides to assist him. Without Jiang's knowledge, he pilfers a shuttle and travels to Africa, where he collects David, Floyd, Umbutu, and Catherine. Following a turbulent flight through the debris of the previous mothership, they arrive at the sphere, and Jake and David prepare to recover it. Meanwhile, on Earth, the United States is hosting festivities to celebrate the First War's triumph anniversary. Whitmore disrupts Lanford's address in an attempt to alert everyone, but he suddenly experiences severe pain and falls unconscious. In the hospital chamber, Oaken begins sketching equations on the walls when he too suddenly experiences the same pain, which is followed by Umbutu. On the moon, observers are stunned to witness a new extraterrestrial mothership approaching and hovering perilously close to the surface. Charlie hastens to seize control of the shuttle and retrieves Jake and David just in time to avoid being crushed. Adams receives the warning on Earth and cancels the festivities, while Jake assumes control of the shuttle's navigation so that Charlie can utilize the robotic arms to retrieve the sphere. It takes several attempts, but they eventually manage to secure it. However, as they prepare to depart, they realize that the mothership possesses its own gravitational pull, which draws the shuttle towards it. Jiang dispatches the pilots and initiates the massive weapon, but the shot misses, forcing the pilots to return. Jiang commands the evacuation of the moon base as the mothership counters their attacks, obliterating their weapon and causing damage to a substantial area of the moon. Despite activating the orbital defense system, the ESD's satellites are destroyed by the mothership before they can retaliate. Shortly after, the mothership descends upon Earth, bringing down Jake's shuttle in the process. The close proximity of the ship results in the destruction of multiple cities, as its gravitational force affects both structures and people. David realizes that the mothership is headed towards a landing on the North Atlantic Ocean, causing Jake to maneuver the aircraft in risky ways to avoid debris. Lanford gives the order to evacuate all coastal cities, but unfortunately, some boats do not receive the message in time. Julius, David's father, is sailing when he spots the colossal ship approaching. He calls David to inform him of the size of the new mothership, but the call abruptly ends when another boat collides with Julius's. The elite pilots stationed on the moon are called upon to assist with the defense efforts. However, Dylan arrives too late to save his mother, who bravely aids a woman and her baby in escaping before the hospital building she is in ultimately falls. Whitmore and Patricia rendezvous with Adams at Area 51, where they are unexpectedly joined by Oaken, who has managed to escape his room. The captive aliens in the facility appear to have become agitated, and Oaken believes they are celebrating. As David and his team arrive, Whitmore takes a daring move by sneaking into a secured room and releasing one of the aliens in an attempt to initiate communication. The alien uses its tentacle to grasp Whitmore and speaks through him, uttering the cryptic message. "She has arrived, she is all." Catherine presents the alien with a circular symbol and inquires about its meaning, causing the creature to react angrily. The soldiers notice that the agitated alien is about to harm Whitmore, prompting them to open fire to prevent any harm. However, the bullets prove to be ineffective. Fortunately, Umbutu intervenes and attacks the alien with his blades, shattering its armor and exposing a small alien creature which he quickly eliminates. Meanwhile, at the coast, a group of siblings who recently lost their parents are attempting to flee the area and locate a safe haven. As they search through the wreckage, they stumble upon the wreckage of Julius' boat with him unconscious inside. After confirming Julius is still breathing, the group brings him along with them. The team at Area 51 conduct a thorough scan of the mothership, leading David to deduce that the alien's message, "She is all," refers to the fact that they are a collective hive, with their queen having just arrived. A reconnaissance aircraft sends them a live video feed from beneath the ocean, revealing that the mothership is drilling into the Earth's crust. It becomes apparent that the aliens are after the planet's molten core, and if they succeed in obtaining it, all life on Earth will perish. David recalls that during the First War, the aliens were defeated by destroying the mothership, which suggests that there must have been another queen within the ship at that time. This revelation leads the team to conclude that they do not need to destroy the more powerful mothership, but rather to eliminate the queen. Lanford grants approval for a mission to locate and destroy the queen, and all pilots prepare for the task. Drones are deployed to disable the ship's shields, allowing the pilots to provide cover for the bombers, which will launch cold fusion warheads to breach the hull and eliminate the queen. As they approach the mothership, the vessel activates its defenses, forcing the pilots to fly defensively while attempting to navigate around the heavy barrage of enemy fire. However, the ship's defenses prove to be too formidable, making it impossible to reach the top of the ship. Jake suggests that their only hope is to enter the ship after losing 2 bombers. Dylan acknowledges the danger but agrees that it's the only option, and Adams grants them permission to proceed while instructing the rest of the team to offer support. Upon entering the ship, they discover an unexpected and complete ecosystem. Meanwhile, Whitmore awakens and informs Patricia that the Queen is aware of their arrival. Patricia hurries to warn Adams of the impending trap, but they are too late. The Queen deploys a unique wave that incapacitates all of the jets. Despite the pilot's fatal descent, they manage to drop the bombs in an attempt to complete the mission. Regrettably, the Queen remains unscathed due to the protection of her energy field. Subsequently, an enormous wave emanates from the extraterrestrial system and incapacitates all of the satellites, Area 51 base, and even the President's bunker. Taking advantage of the situation, the mothership assaults the bunker, resulting in the demise of all individuals inside, including Lanford. Shortly after, the military leaders arrive at Area 51 and designate Adams as the new President of the United States. Catherine presents Oaken's sketches to Umbutu, and he translates some of them, revealing references to an intergalactic war and the need to prevent an enemy from reaching Earth. This leads Umbutu to conclude that the Sphere desires an alliance because the aliens are also their adversaries. Meanwhile, inside the mothership, Jake, Dylan, and a small group of pilots survive the crash and must take refuge within the ecosystem to evade capture. At the base, Oaken successfully opens the capsule with a unique laser and scans the sphere, but he detects no signals. Out of curiosity, Floyd moves closer to the sphere and touches its smooth surface, causing it to absorb his hands. After a few moments, the sphere activates and releases Floyd before communicating in English, which it learned from his mind. At the same time, the Queen receives a reading on her system and dons a massive piece of armor. The pilots can only observe as the top of the mothership suddenly lifts off to launch a new attack. The sphere then explains that it intercepted the aliens' distress signal and arrived to warn humanity, but humans attacked the sphere without first seeking information. The sphere's species has previously battled against the invading aliens, referring to the motherships as harvester ships, due to their function of extracting cores from various planets to serve as fuel. The sphere is the only remaining survivor from its home planet, and its system holds the key to advanced technology. The sphere has established a secret planet where refugees from other fallen worlds are taught to build weapons capable of defeating the invaders, which is why the aliens are frightened of it. Regrettably, now that the sphere has activated, the Queen can track its location. David proposes that they use the Queen's approach against her and lure her into a trap. Oaken and David propose concealing the authentic sphere within an isolation chamber, and replicating its radiation signal using a decoy inside a tug stocked with cold fusion bombs. This will entice the Queen to follow the fake signal into a trap. The sole requirement is the ability to track the Queen, which Adams reveals he can do with a radar truck left over from the First War. Adams and David discuss the plan with the few remaining pilots, informing them that due to the lack of operational satellites, a pilot must manually fly the tug to activate the bombs, indicating they will not survive the mission. Patricia attempted to volunteer, but her father Whitmore intervened and accepted the assignment, disregarding his daughter's objections. Meanwhile, Julius awakens and persuades his siblings to accompany him to Area 51. However, they are running low on fuel and traveling at a slow pace. They halt at a gas station and encounter a school bus full of children that the driver left behind. Julius assumes control of the bus and drives it towards Area 51 with all of the children on board. In the meantime, the pilots in the mothership locate the hangar where the aliens are kept. In an attempt to steal the jets, Jake rushes ahead and distracts the aliens by insulting them and urinating on their floor, while his friends carry out the theft. The aliens respond angrily to Jake's insults and begin firing at him, but the pilots successfully take off on the jets and rescue Jake. As the aliens pursue them and close in, the pilots must execute daring maneuvers to evade being hit. Amidst the chaos, Jake apologizes to Dylan for almost causing his death in the past. Despite several near misses, the pilots eventually reach the doors and escape just before they shut. As preparations are made for an impending attack, Patricia voices her objections but watches as her father departs. She ultimately chooses to accompany him in flight to assist in the battle. Meanwhile, Julius and the children arrive at the base just as the Queen and her army appear on the scene. In the ensuing clash, with both sides unleashing volleys of fire, David spots the bus and moves it to his sector for safety. The sphere is placed in an isolation chamber, and the Queen falls for the deception, believing that Whitmore possesses the authentic signal. Patricia pilots her jet alongside her father's and bids him farewell before he makes the ultimate sacrifice. Meanwhile, David deploys a protective shield around the alien army to contain the impending explosion. Whitmore boards the Queen's ship and detonates the bombs, leading the team to believe they have emerged victorious. However, the alien army continues to attack, and the base's large weapon is destroyed. As the smoke dissipates, it becomes apparent that the Queen survived the explosion by shielding herself with her own energy shield. David joins Julius and the children on the bus, and they set off in an attempt to flee from the Queen, who is now in pursuit. As the aliens advance, all ground soldiers hurry back to the base to safeguard the sphere, while the pilots launch an attack on the Queen. Despite their efforts, the Queen remains protected by her shield, and the boat crew discovers that there are only 6 minutes left until the impending destruction. In the midst of this, Patricia notices a small window of opportunity when the Queen puts down her shield to launch an attack. Seizing the chance, Patricia shoots at the Queen's weak point, destroying her shield and exposing her to attack. In retaliation, the Queen strikes Patricia's jet, but Patricia manages to escape by deploying her parachute moments before the crash. The Queen attempts to pursue Patricia, but at that moment, Dylan and the rest of the team return and use the Queen's technology to launch an attack against her. Inside the base, the aliens discover the sphere and send a message to the Queen with its location. Oaken and Isaacs are left to guard the sphere, but the Queen uses her hive link to take control of her technology and create a new shield around herself, causing Dylan and his team to lose control of their jets. Umbutu and Floyd rush to confront the aliens in the isolation room, but in the ensuing struggle, Isaacs is hit by one of the aliens. As Umbutu and Floyd fight off the remaining aliens, Oaken is forced to bid farewell to his husband. With time running out and only 2 minutes left, the Queen reaches the base and pounds on the roof in an attempt to access the sphere. Dylan refers to the jet shield as a tornado, which inspires Jake to activate the manual thrusters and create a fire whirl that propels them out of the hive. Meanwhile, the Queen breaches the base and seizes the sphere, but the pilots regain control of their jets and launch a fierce attack against her, causing her to abandon her armor. The Queen attempts to flee and nearly takes out the bus, but David backs up just in time, causing the Queen to fall and ultimately perish, freeing the sphere in the process. Similar to the First War, the Queen's demise instantaneously halts the drill and causes all the alien ships to crash. As the mothership departs and people all over the world rejoice in victory, Oaken verifies that the sphere remains intact. Although David expresses concern about Earth's ability to withstand another attack, Oaken reassures him that the sphere contains a training program on a protected planet. Therefore, humanity's next step is to join the intergalactic war.